Welcome, everyone. Good morning. Today our webinar is all about our active wellness program to Czechia and Slovakia, happening at the beginning of October of next year, which next year is barely 2 weeks away, and all of a sudden it'll be 2024. Hard to believe this year seems to have gone by in a fly. So let's get started. So a couple of words for those of you who are regular attendees to our webinars. You can go and grab a coffee for a minute or two while I explain to our new members what Wheel and Anchor is all about. And that is about bringing travelers together. As you can see here on the screen, our mission when we started Wheel and Anchor a few years back was came on the backs of the 32 years that I've been organizing trips for Canadians. And what I found is that when you get like-minded people together on a trip, and when I say like-minded, people who like to, explore the world through different eyes, who like to enjoy all of the learning that comes from experiencing new cultures and traditions and food and wine and all those things. Many of you have heard me tell the story over and over again. And we have a lot of fun on our trips because, as I say, invariably we have folks that are, that have that like-minded approach to travel, that sense of adventure, that sense of having fun. Good morning and welcome, Paula. We are well underway. And so that's kind of the mission that we have, and our community has grown to include people from literally every province and territory in the country. And that's fun too, because we often find our members reporting that they made great friends, new travel companions. And that's really part of it as well, because the experience of travel is so much better when you do it with somebody that or that you've met along the way. That's really what's important about it. Our other goal for all of our members is to be well-traveled and well-connected. And it's partly why the way that we curate trips is to try to have the experiences that, of course, you want to see the touristic highlights of Europe and Asia and all over the world, but we try to include experiences that are a bit unique and are a bit different. And my old adage goes, if the tour buses are going that way, we're going to go that way. And that's a little bit how we think and try to plan every one of our trips, so that you get a little something different in your travel experience. So I won't belabor that topic any longer, because I'm sure you're more excited to hear about what is in store on this active wellness trip to Czech and Slovakia. I will briefly introduce myself and the team. My name is Gordon Drager, founder of Wheel and Anchor. And I'm the person that, essentially comes up with pretty much all of our trips and works together with my fabulous team to make sure that it's brought to you and that all your questions get answered, and that you have an amazing experience while on tour. So the people who you are most likely to come in contact with if you give our office a call are Paula and Barb. Good morning again to Paula, our trip specialists who will be there to answer all your questions and make sure that you get signed up and able to join us on our trips. And of course, there's a whole bunch of other people behind the scenes that I won't introduce at this point, but you may come across them in your communications with us. So today we're gonna put ourselves into the spirit of wellness and relaxation and talk about some of the most amazing spa towns in Europe that comprise this itinerary. So I'm going to show you around a little bit today on what this is all about and what this idea of active wellness trips is all about. We are talking about here Central Europe, Central Eastern Europe, specifically the countries of Czechia, as it's now called. It was called Czech Republic until last year, and then they changed the name because they wanted, I guess, to sound like their former sister country of Slovakia or Austria, for that matter. We are going to be spending 1 week in this lovely little valley in the foothills of the little Carpathian Mountains, called Piešťany, for the first week, and the second week in Karlovy Vary, otherwise known as Carlsbad, in the Bohemian part of Czechia. So I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute. Our gateway to fly in is Vienna, because it's only a couple hours away from Piešťany, and our gateway out is Prague, where we'll end the trip. So before I get into the actual day-by-day itinerary, let's talk a little bit about what the aim of an active wellness program is. For some of you may have joined me for our other active wellness programs that we've introduced, specifically our hiking in the Austrian Alps. We're also going next fall, which is a little bit more on the active than on the wellness. It's got both, and this one is more on the wellness with also the active component. And so why active wellness? Well, listen, we've all done a lot of traveling. You've traveled here, there, and all the rest of it. And, we think about what we travel for. We travel to, see new places, to learn about other cultures. We travel to eat well. We travel to just see a different aspect of the world. Coming from Canada, we're very fortunate. We have a high standard of living. We have a lot of things going for us, but there's a fascination with going to other parts of the world. But the one thing that isn't usually on forefront in our minds when we travel is our own wellness. And, for those of you who've traveled in Europe a lot, you probably know that Europeans devote quite a bit of time to wellness and to attending spas like some of the ones that we're talking about here. The idea of wellness, at least for Canadians, relatively new concept. I mean, maybe you've gone for a massage here or there, and, we've got sort of spas, sort of sporadically around Canada, but nothing like the culture of wellness that exists in Europe. And I think that more and more people are realizing that there is actually benefit to go and spending time focusing on your health and your wellness. I mean, I've been blessed to have spent tons of time in Europe. I went to school there. I've been organizing trips there for the last 30 years. And I love wellness. I love going to these various pavilions or to a wellness hotel, a spa hotel, and really focusing on relaxation or on a treatment that's, suited to an ailment, whether it's a pain here or there, you've got something with the digestives, and we've all got something as we get on to our later years. And by giving yourself the opportunity to do that in beautiful surroundings is something that is going to contribute to the quality of life and prolong your life probably as well. And let's face it, that's why the Europeans go. They go both for a specific therapeutic reason, or they go more as a sort of a preventative measure, accompanying other activities that you might undertake. And again, this is the active part. By staying active, by getting out and walking, and a lot of our trips at the moment are primarily focused around walking, light hiking. And when you do that together with the wellness, you come away just feeling much more refreshed. Maybe you've lost a little bit of weight if you're somebody, and you will be, you'll have kind of a new lease on life. And at the same time, we're also offering that in the context of travel, so you get to see some beautiful places. So on that note, let's get in and dive into the itinerary. We picked Vienna to fly into, again, because it's the closest major international airport to Piešťany, where we're starting the trip. And of course, I know a lot of our members have been to Vienna before. Maybe you stopped there on a river cruise, or you passed at one time of your life. Vienna, near and dear to my heart. It is, I think, one of the most beautiful cities in Europe. So it's a great place to start the trip. We're going to spend a night here, allowing us all to gather from all of the places in parts of Canada that we're coming from. And we've picked out a hotel that is right in the center of the city, in the first districts next to St. Stephen's Cathedral. So you can fly in, arrive in the morning, have the day to sort of wander around Vienna, which, as I say, is a magical city. If you haven't been to Vienna before, you might tack on a couple of nights to explore that city a little bit more. It's truly one of the greatest cities of Europe. And although the focus of our trip is not here in Vienna, and there's some great spa resorts in Austria as well, we are using this, as I say, as the starting off point to our active wellness program that's going to begin with the first week in Slovakia. So we're going travel from Vienna up via Bratislava, which is the capital of Slovakia. Again, this is a city that I think is underrated. If you've been on a river cruise down the Danube, you may have stopped in at Bratislava, probably not spent enough time to take it in all its glory. We are just literally going to make a stop here for lunch and have a look around. It's like a mini Prague. It has beautiful buildings in various architectural styles. So it'll give us a little bit of the taste of the city, maybe an interesting spot for a return trip sometime. But it's also actually not all that far from Piešťany, only about an hour away. So we'll end up in the afternoon, latter part of the afternoon in Piešťany, where we're going to check into this wonderful hotel, the Thermia Palace, the best hotel in town. And they consider themselves to be one of the famous spa towns of the world. You probably never heard of Piešťany before, because unless you've spent time inquiring about spas or you've looked into it, then it's not a name that you would necessarily come across. But let's face it, a lot of us don't know much about Slovakia in general, which is what makes this an interesting opportunity, because we're going to spend time in a very picturesque part of the country in the southwest corner, not far from Bratislava. The Thermia Palace is a gem. This is an Art Nouveau styled hotel that was built back in 1912. And it is at the time it was one of the most beautiful spa hotels in all of Europe. So it was quite a spot when they first built it, and it has a very large spa facility at about 3,500 square meters, so like 35,000 square feet of spa facilities. It's a 5-star hotel that is dedicated to health and wellness. And so when I talk about facilities, Piešťany, like Karlovy Vary, the second part of our trip, is known for its geothermal waters. And these geothermal waters have various medicinal properties. And I'm not going to go into the science of all of that, but just suffice it to say that since 1912, people have been flocking here, and probably long before that. That's just when they built this hotel. People have been flocking here to look after themselves and to enjoy the geothermal waters and the sulfuric mud that is the foundation for the treatment programs that they have here. So the Thermia Palace itself, as I say, they've got over 60 different spa treatments. And so, again, when we talk about spa treatments, when we think about that in a North American context, spa treatments is often, it's a facial and it's a manicure and it's a pedicure and it's some massage and so on and so forth. For sure, they have those as well. But when we're talking about spa treatments, we're talking about different things. And I'll get into that in a minute, what we're talking about when we mean spa treatments. The Thermia Palace, though, has great amenities. So they've got literally 6 different pools. They've got a so-called mirror pool, a thermal bath, all from the geothermal water that comes out of the ground there. They've got a mud pool. They've got 36 treatment rooms where all of these different 60 treatments actually take place. And in addition to that, they've got obviously beautiful dining rooms. We're on a half-board basis there, so we have a sumptuous breakfast buffet as well as a served dinner that's available in the hotel every evening. And as I say, there's lots of spots for relaxation, and the whole setting of the hotel in the center of the town, not far from shops and other restaurants and lots of great hiking trails, is really, really lovely. I'll talk to you a little bit about the treatments that are available here, actually, while we're on this slide. So there is a lot on offer. And so it's worth studying our program itinerary that has some details about this stuff, because when you arrive, you will have a consultation with a spa physician. This is a medical doctor who will have a conversation with you about what it is that you would like to address. And again, this can be prophylactic, but it can also be therapeutic. So you might say, oh, well, I've been having a pain in my knee for this, so and so many years, or whatever it happens to be. And they will tailor your package, the treatments that you get, to hopefully alleviate some of the symptoms that you are feeling, or strictly prophylactic. So strictly, it could be strictly relaxation based. As I say, when we get to our later years, I include myself in this, of course. There's always something, and I've always got something with my neck because I'm staring at a computer for too many hours a day and all the rest of it. And so they can tailor a assortment of programs, which could include different types of massages. They usually have physiotherapy. They have ultrasound and laser therapies. They've got the mud baths, which are very soothing. They've got inhalation therapies. I mean, there's stuff that, each time I go to one of these, I learn about something that I hadn't heard about before. When I was in Karlovy Vary this past October, I went in for a sampler for a day or two of the different treatments, and they hooked me up to an oxygen supply, and it was like literally 30 minutes of breathing pure oxygen. It was heavenly, and you just came back. I came out of it feeling on top of the world. Never would have thought about doing that before, but it was really was quite remarkable. And so, as I say, in consultation with that physician, you'll get a customized treatment plan that will also take into account our other activities. Because, of course, while we're here, we're going to take in some other things. We're not just going to hang around the hotel the whole time. And so there'll be lots of opportunity to do that. So I'll elaborate as we go on. As I say, the hotel, all Art Nouveau style. You can see here a picture of the main dining room. It's quite a place to be. And, staying in these hotels, which are very grand, as is the Carlsberg Plaza in Karlovy Vary, you really get a sense of the grandeur of Europe that once was. And nowadays the people that come are from a very broad spectrum. People come from all over the world to attend these spa towns for the therapeutic benefits. And when I say all over the world, it's obviously a lot of Europeans, but you get a lot of Asians coming in now, people coming from the Middle East, and gradually even North Americans are catching on to that there's something about this whole wellness thing that makes it makes a lot of sense and is worth doing. So as I say, when we arrive in, either the afternoon of arrival or the following morning, you'll have this medical appointment. You'll have these treatments prescribed. You can add more as well. We'll also take time to get oriented to the town of Piešťany itself, where all the hiking trails are. There's more hiking trails than we can possibly do in a week. And although this is not a hiking trip, we're going to encourage getting out and being active as well, because again, it's that balance between being active and then, imbibing in all these treatments that really gives you the benefit of participating in this trip. So I'm sure you'll be anxious for enjoying all the facilities though when you first arrive, but nonetheless, when we get to day 4, we're going to head off and see some of the wonderful things that are in the Slovakian countryside, specifically the castles. Slovakia, Czechia, and southern Poland are all very well known for some of the most amazing castles you'll find in Europe. In fact, they have, I think, one of the highest densities of castles anywhere in the world in this part of Europe. In particular, we're going to see 2, Kartice, which is a very famous castle that was actually the home of a countess who was a renowned serial killer back in the 16th century. So there's a lot of interesting, a dark sort of past to this castle, which always makes it very mysterious and almost haunted when you go through the place. And another lovely one, which is pictured here, is Bekov Castle, dating back to the 13th century, with an amazing location on a hill overlooking the countryside. And these castles give you a really amazing insight into the Middle Ages, that period between sort of the 5th century and the 15th century AD, where Europe was really in quite a phase of change after the fall of the Roman Empire. We'll have lots of free days, so every other day we'll take a free day where you'll be completely on your own to, as I say, get out, explore around. Your host will have ideas about places to go, walks to take, hikes. As I say, for those that are particularly taken by Bratislava, you could go to Bratislava for the day. But remember, you've got 2 treatments a day during your entire stay. And the treatments sometimes are only 15, 20 minutes long. They could be an hour. It depends on exactly what it is. So various treatments for various people. Everybody's will be a bit different, but they're always going to take our schedule into account, so that you aren't missing anything. Talking about saunas, we aren't really into the sauna culture so far as much as they are in Europe, but it is common to have multiple different saunas as they do here. And so you might just want to go and spend a day going from one sauna to the next and, relaxing in between, maybe an ice bath, lots of different things to take in and enjoy. We're going to also do a little side trip to the Little Carpathian Mountains. The Carpathians here, you're probably familiar with the Carpathians from Romania, from Transylvania, where Dracula came from. Well, this is the so-called Little Carpathians. So it's an extension of that mountain range that kind of forms the border between Czechia and Austria, and Slovakia, obviously. And here we'll spend a day. We'll visit a super little cool fortress called the Redstone Castle. We'll do a little wine tasting. You'll be surprised because, again, Slovakia is a country that produces wines, as does Austria, which is much more famous for its wine production, and Czechia. But we don't often taste wines from this part of the world, and they actually have some pretty good ones. So we'll spend a day out exploring this very picturesque countryside, again, in this corner of southwestern Slovakia. And then you'll have another day to enjoy the facilities of the Thermia Palace Hotel, which, again, it's the setting and everything. This is a great relaxing holiday, but an opportunity to, as I say, explore and understand a little bit about what spa culture is, but also culture in Slovakia. We'll then depart and make our way to Karlovy Vary. So we're going to spend a good chunk of the day. We're going to take our time getting to the westernmost part of Czech Republic, or Czechia, which is called Bohemia, specifically Karlovy Vary. So we'll leave in the morning. We'll go get a drive down to Bratislava, where we'll take the high-speed train from Bratislava to Prague. And we'll stop off in Prague for a bite of lunch, a chance to look around. If you haven't experienced Prague before, it'll give you a taste of an incredible city, where, as I say, we will end up the trip. So if you haven't been to Prague, you'll be able to add some days at the end and explore the city. We're just going to get a little taste of it on our way, and we will end up in the latter part of the afternoon in Karlovy Vary. And Karlovy Vary, I was just there most recently in October. And I absolutely adore this town. It is perhaps, if not, it's perhaps the most famous spa town in Europe. It is a UNESCO town, listed as part of the great spa towns of Europe. There's a few other ones. We're actually going to visit Marianske Lazne, which is not far away. And Bath in England is another great spa town of Europe. And there's a handful of others. But Karlovy Vary is charming because it's this village in a valley surrounded by incredible green forests and all of these beautiful Renaissance style buildings. And there's other architectural styles in there as well that are so colorful, so well kept and maintained. I mean, the setting alone is worth the visit. And a lot of people visit Karlovy Vary on a day trip from Prague as part of a river cruise or something like that. But to be able to spend a week here is absolute bliss. We're going to be staying at the Carlsbad Plaza Hotel. And of course, Carlsbad is the German pronunciation of Karlovy Vary. If you will remember your European history, of course, this part of Bohemia, Czech Republic, was all part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And so there was German was spoken here, as well as, of course, Czech. And then, of course, when the war came along and the Germans invaded, then it was basically annexed part of Nazi Germany. And so there's a lot of those influences here. And you see that the signs will be in German, in Czech, and to some extent in English and in Russian, because in recent years, or at least up until COVID, and then subsequently up until the war started, they had a lot of Russians that came to enjoy the spas in Karlovy Vary. And the Carlsbad Plaza is a 5-star superior hotel. It is really a top-notch hotel. I went through the hotel. I fell in love. I just wanted to stay there. And has all of the amenities and facilities that you can expect from a hotel like that. Again, the spa area is about 37,000 square feet. of pools and saunas and all kinds of different facilities. Here at the Carlsbad Plaza, you're going to get 18 treatments during the week. So you'll actually get a little bit more than 2 per day. When we arrive, the procedure will be the same. You'll have a visit with a spa physician who's going to prescribe a treatment plan that suits what you're looking for. You may have learned something from the first week in Piešťany about yourself and your body and what you need and what does well for you. And you'll be able to take that here and apply that again. Or you may say, oh, well, I want to try something different. They have so many different treatments again as well that it's interesting to try stuff. And like anything that you do in life, if you try something, if it works, great. That's fantastic. If it doesn't, you try something else. And that's the beauty of these spas, is invariably there's almost nothing you can do that is going to be a negative effect. In fact, you're going to enjoy all of it. And it's intriguing to try all these different things. And you might be surprised that you can address something that you've never thought would be possible before, using sort of conventional practices that we use in Western medicine. As I say, the hotel is in the center of Karlovy Vary, so it's walking distance along the river to all of the other beautiful buildings and all of the sites. There's lots of shops and cafes, and again, hiking trails abound in this beautiful part of Bohemia. So again, this is a truly remarkable hotel. When you check in, you're not going to want to check out. We will first of all get an orientation tour from our local guide, Yizi. It's a lovely young chap who hails from a small town very close to here, and loves showing guests around Karlovy Vary. And ironically, when I was there, he was in Canada, because he's also a traveler himself. And he has quite a passion. He's very excited to be welcoming our Wheel and Anchor members to Karlovy Vary next October. He's going to show us a little bit around the town. We're going to facilitate a so-called Karlovy Vary card, which is a little travel card that enables you access to a number of the museums and sites and tastings, and also to the Elizabeth Baths, which is the central spa facility of the town. Or I should say one of them, because there's a couple of them, even though our hotel has all of the facilities that you need for your stay. In the afternoon, we're actually going to go and do a little activity. We're going to attend a little candle making program by a local family manufacturer. This is the other nice thing that I like about these smaller towns and cities in places like Karlovy Vary is that there are things that are produced here. They're still very much into their local craftsmanship and artisans and so on. And this is just one thing that is a neat activity, and people give rave reviews about. So as I say, you'll have a couple of treatments a day. The treatment plan will be scheduled around our activities. We want to make sure that you have enough things to do, that you won't get bored. And so we're planning these activities, which are obviously at your choice as to whether you participate in them or not, because you may be really focused on your own wellness program, and believe me, when you check into this hotel, you may not want to go anywhere other than for a stroll around outside. But nevertheless, we have some great things to do. We've got this wonderful 8-kilometer circuit from the center of town, where we take a funicular ride up to a spectacular viewpoint. You look down on the Renaissance buildings of Karlovy Vary and around the rolling hills of Bohemia. We'll go and visit a little deer park. And in the afternoon, we'll actually visit Moser Glass, which is Czechia's most celebrated glass factory, where they make hand-blown crystal glasses that are revered around the world. They're super expensive, but they make some spectacular designs. So this is always a highlight as well to see where this comes from, because Bohemia glass is something that people are familiar with. And so whether you get it from Moser or from one of the more moderately priced suppliers, there's some cool stuff to be had there as well. So again, lots of wellness and so on to take advantage of. Talking again about saunas, we're always familiar with the classic Finnish sauna, which is all wood, and they hit you with the birch switches that you see here in the bucket. But there's so many other different kinds of saunas that you may never have tried before. They have a salt sauna, where you rub salt onto your body and it sort of absorbs in. And they've got a tepidarium, which has got the aromatherapy essences. And they've got a Russian sauna, which is a very high temperature sauna. And they've got Turkish steam baths. It's all very interesting and very relaxing and very enjoyable. And as I say, I have no doubt that you will relish every single day that we spend here. We're going to make another day trip out towards the German border to a little town called Cheb. And Cheb is interesting because, again, the proximity to Germany and the history of things that transpired here. You can see the fortress that was built here in the Renaissance style, but they've got actually a number of different architectural features to this town, which is what makes it particularly interesting and a nice little spot to visit. On the same day, we'll visit Marianske Lazne, which is Czechia's second most famous spa town after Karlovy Vary, and is a very, very picturesque spot in town. In fact, they were building a whole new exhibit on the main square with fountains, dancing fountains, and all the rest of it just when we were there. So that should be open by the time that we arrive. As I say, there's one town is cuter than the other as you go around the meandering rolling hills of Western Bohemia. Again, lots of free time in Karlovy Vary, which incidentally is a much larger town than Piešťany. So Piešťany is a nice, quiet way to start off the trip. Here, you'll be really taken in by all of the buildings and the sites in and around Karlovy Vary. So you can, as I say, with this Karlovy Vary card that we're going to be giving you at the beginning of the stay, you can enjoy visiting some of the museums like the Jan Becher Museum, where the famous, it's not famous to us in Canada, but they make a liqueur called Becherovka, which is in a way sort of, it looks a little bit like chartreuse, has a herbal sort of a flavor to it. Very, very popular in the Czech Republic and is gradually increasing its popularity around the world. But there's, I say, a number of other places to visit. You can also, with your card, get into the Elizabeth Park Spa, which is the central public spa building. Again, very historic, and another place to enjoy some of the springs, the hot springs that Karlovy Vary is also known for. And I didn't actually mention that at the beginning. Karlovy Vary has hot spring fountains all throughout the town. I think there are 16 of them. So you get a little cup. I don't have mine with me here, a special little ceramic cup where you go from one fountain to the other, and then you fill it up with hot thermal water, which you drink. I got to tell you, some of them taste pretty miserable, but it has all kinds of therapeutic benefits. So when I was there, I literally went with a friend of mine, and we went from one to the next, sampling all of the thermal water that just, cleans out your system. So I think we drank, a lot of thermal water when we were there. So that's part of the experience of Karlovy Vary. Czechia, in particular, Bohemia, has some amazing castles. We're going to visit a couple more, in particular Loket, which is the oldest royal castle in Central Europe. As you can see from the pictures, these castles are truly amazing. So, and unlike churches, that all sort of look a little bit the same, these castles have all very different features to them. And often the location is part of what makes them so stunning. So Loket is an amazing castle in just a fairy tale setting. And we'll also go and visit Castle Bečov, which is known for its amazing interior design. Some of the castles in Czech Republic, interestingly, have nothing inside. They were razed or everything was removed during the war. Others have retained some beautiful examples of, as I say, Renaissance and Gothic style interior design that you're going to find on our tours around. And then we'll have to bid adieu to Karlovy Vary and to Czechia. We will transfer back to Prague, which will be the departure airport. For those that wish, you can tack on a couple of extra days, enjoy Prague. I think anybody I know that's been to Prague once likes to go back for a second time. So let me just quickly address some of the details that you'll find in our program itinerary. So this program from the 1st to the 15th of October of next year, coming in at $79.90 Canadian dollars. If you take into account that there are 32 spa treatments over the 13 nights in these hotels that are included, and if you think about what spa treatments in Canada go for, it's pretty darn good value, particularly considering that these are 5-star hotels. We have half board, we have breakfast and dinner every day, and all this extra touring as well. So I'm pretty pleased with the fact that we're able to bring this trip out at this price point. I think you could spend a week in a spa in North America, and it would cost you at least that amount of money. So all of the inclusions that are shown here. So in total, it's 14 nights, including that first pre-night in Vienna, and all of the treatments that we talked about. And there's more details on that in the program itinerary and the additional information about the treatments that are available. And so we can obviously answer any questions about that, and all of the other inclusions as usual that I won't go through in detail. Of course, we will arrange airfare for you separately. So wherever you're from in Canada, we can get you into Vienna and out of Prague. And then, of course, travel insurance, which is always highly, highly recommended. To get into Vienna and out of Prague, the price range currently looks to be around $1,500 to $1,800. Actually, it could be a little bit less than that, but airfares have been quite volatile in the last 12 months or so. So if you book at the right time, you might be able to do a little bit better than that. But as I say, we can assist you with airfare and try to find the best solution for you for getting over there. If you sign up for this trip before the end of January, again, because we have been making it a point of asking for hotels to give us a bit of a deal if we send them some deposit money up front. So we've been doing that so we can give you a couple $100 off for those that book before the 31st of January, 2024. So now, Paul, it's time to take some questions from our members about our active wellness program, Czechia and Slovakia. So do we have any questions that have come in? I think
we do. Ardell is asking if the hikes are guided and included in the cost, and can you tell a little bit more about the hiking options?
So this isn't a hiking trip. So for example, the one hike or walk that we do in Karlovy Vary will be guided by Yuji, our local guide, and he'll take us around. The walks in Slovakia. So all of the excursions that I described here are obviously guided by our local guides. To the extent that there's other walking on free days, it is not guided. That being said, between our host and our local guide, we'll get sort of trail maps. And the one thing I can say is they do a really good job of marking the trail. So our host is going to be encouraged to take those who wish out for hiking and walking around. That's part of the program, but they aren't going to be guided by a local guide per se, except for the ones that we mentioned.
Fabulous. I had another member who was asking me in advance of this being released about any yoga, like this program and also on our other active wellness program, what styles of yoga are available. And I don't know whether that's too general to answer that across both trips at this time. But yes, definitely quite a few members have been asking.
Yeah, so there are classes that these hotels will put on for different things. I mean, it could be like what do they call it, aquarobics or something where you do sort of like an aerobic program in the pool, or it could be yoga. So the programming of like yoga and so on is determined by the hotel, and we can look to get you a sample of what types of things that they're doing. These aren't yoga facilities per se, so I wouldn't expect that there's going to be different kinds of yoga. There's going to be a sort of an assortment of different things that are available. And so we'll note the question, and Paula, we can get back to the member and anybody else that's interested to sort of try to get a sense of what programs like yoga are going to be offered as well.
Fabulous. Ingrid's asking a question here about the transfers to the hotel in Vienna. Is it only from the airport, or can it be arranged from? And Gordon, I don't know if you can pull up the Q&A. But she's asking about one of the South train stations and the name. I'm afraid to butcher it.
Yeah, the Südbahnhof, the South train station, which is actually the now the main train station in Vienna, because they've consolidated it into one. But our transfer arrangements are from the airport. But to get from that train station to the hotel is not a big deal. So but yeah, no, I think our transfers are strictly from the airport. Just for simplicity, it's difficult for us to organize transfers all over the place. We've been trying to consolidate that to make our lives a little bit easier. So it is in fact from the hotel. Sorry, from the airport to the hotel, and from the hotel to the airport in Prague at the end of the trip.
Perfect. Had another member who's asked here with regards to packing. So I know, we've probably touched on weather, but also in terms of like just regular attire in these environments, right? That how casual or dressy can they be?
Yeah, well, that's actually a very good question about this. Is you go on a spa vacation to relax and to be casual. That being said, in these hotels, and given that it's Central Europe, people too tend to get a little bit dressed up for dinner. Would I bring my finest evening dress or a suit as a gentleman? No, that's not really necessary. Again, this is you're on a spa vacation, and so the dress in general can be casual, but let's put it this way. I always try to put on a nice shirt and pair of trousers when I go to the dining room for dinner, because that is sort of consistent with what locals, with what Europeans will do when they go, particularly in these hotels, which are among the best in both of the towns we're talking about.
Perfect. Thank you for touching on that. Maria's just messaged here, and I was responding back to her privately, but I'll share. She says, we've picked two of the best spa cities in each of these countries with two of the best hotels. I was born and raised in Slovakia and also lived in Czechia, close to Karlovy Vary. So anyway.
So there you go. We have an endorsement. Thank you, Maria, for that endorsement. Yes. Well, indeed, yes, we certainly know that. We appreciate that comment. And these are two of the best spa places in Europe. And so that's why we're going. And we hope we're going to have a nice gang going. We will probably we'll run this trip sort of between sort of 10 and no more than about 16 to 18 members at the most. So that'll be a nice group going, and we'll have a marvelous time. And again, this kind of experience will really change your perspective on doing something for yourself, and at the same time enjoying some beautiful countryside and cities around Central Europe. Good. Any other questions, Paula?
Not to me at the moment.
Okay, cool. Well, of course, if you do have any questions, we do hope you'll consider joining us. But obviously, you want to make sure you have all your questions answered. Drop us a note. Paula, Barb will be available to help you out and answer any questions and get you signed up for our trip next October. And as I mentioned, we do have another active wellness program, Hiking the Austrian Alps, which is a more hiking heavy program, if you will. In Salzburg, in the province of Salzburg in Austria, as well as going to the spas of the Gastein Valley. So that program happening next fall as well, and you'll find it on our trip list. More coming in this genre, because we think that we've had a lot of feedback from members who love the idea of being active and staying well. So you're going to see more from this. So take care. Thank you for participating tonight. I think that is it for webinars before the holidays, if I'm not mistaken. Or do we have one more on
It
Thursday? No, that's it.
is for new. Nope, nothing new this
That's it.
week.
Yeah. So
Yes.
so on that note, I will wish everybody a wonderful holiday season, Merry Christmas, and so on. And our next webinar, our webinar series will continue in the first week of January. So until then, have a great holiday. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you again very, very soon.